Well, podcast number two, or should I say episode number two. Well, I want to talk to you about something that happened this past weekend and how it affected myself and my daughter, and sort of give some thoughts and some ideas as to the whole episode, really. So, I take my daughter, Carly, for movie nights, Abba Daughter Nights that we do. They've been doing this for years since she was about 7 or 8. And this past Saturday, we were returning home from our movie night, and we get to this traffic light, and Carly says, Abba, is that a body on the ground? And sure enough, I look up, and directly to the left of me, there was another car, and another car to its left, because I was in the third lane. And then in front of the car that was on the far left, there was this body lying on the ground. And as we drove past it slowly, because there was a police officer there and he was, checking the scene, figuring out what was going on, I noticed this person lying on the ground, not moving. And then about 10 feet away from them was a bicycle. And then about 5 feet away from the bicycle was a car that was stopped in the middle of the intersection. And for about, I don't know, a minute or two, it was just completely silent in the car. I don't know what Carly was thinking, but I was trying to think about how is this going to affect my daughter. I don't know if she's ever seen a body lying on the ground before. And all I could think about was making sure that if she had any questions, that I would be able to do my best to answer them. And after about a couple minutes of silence, she said, "Have you ever seen a dead body before?" And I said, "Well, of course I have. I'm a rabbi, and I've been with people when they've said goodbye to their loved ones. I've been in hospitals, in hospice, at people's homes. I've held the hand of people as they took their final breaths. Um, that's just part of what I do. But there was some kind of a connection between me and these people, the ones that passed away, and the family members that I was with. This person lying on the ground, I didn't even know who it was. And it's been several days now, and I've checked the news almost every day, multiple times, and I have not been able to find anything or any information about what happened. And it certainly puts a lot of things in perspective. And Carly was worried she was going to have nightmares, that she wasn't going to be able to sleep Saturday night, and thankfully she was. And we've chatted, chatted a little bit about it since then. But the real thing here is we think as we go day by day, we wake up in the morning, and we have breakfast, or we go on our way, and either we go to school or we go to work or whatever. And it's a daily sort of grind, right? Get up in the morning, do what you have to do during the day, go to bed at night, wake up again the next morning. But when you think about what's the opposite of life, and the opposite of life is no life or death. And I don't think people spend a lot of time thinking about what it means to not be living. Now, as Jewish people, we we concern ourselves with living the best possible life that we can now. We do believe in an afterlife. We do believe in a heaven, and there are, many different ideas within Judaism about what the afterlife looks like. There's Talmudic answers, rabbinic answers, there's biblical answers, there's modern answers. But the point is that we live our lives every day to be the best that we possibly can, to affect those around us in a positive way. We take the words of the Bible, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. We take those very seriously. Those are the most important words. And so when we think about what happens next, do we even think about it? Do we even consider about that? Yes, we say Kaddish when a loved one has died, and we certainly accept and understand and realize that there is something called death, and there is something that comes afterwards, of which none of us really can understand because we are living. We are in the land of the living. And so I think about what happens if we just took a moment every day. It doesn't have to be a long moment, it doesn't have to be hours, it could be just a few minutes to think about what we did today and how we affected the lives of those around us. And if it turns out that this was our last day, would we be able to look back from wherever is next and say we did our best? We lived our best life. I know for me, I try and do better every day than I did the day before. And I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But if we can go to bed at night and believe or really know that we did good that day, that we did something to positively affect the life of someone else, and that should be enough to make you feel like, okay, if this was my last day on earth, I can look back and say I did good that day. And if we live every day as if it was our last day, and we think about what we could do on those days to do better for someone else, eventually every day becomes a better day. And really, isn't that the goal? Isn't the goal of life to make sure we are better today than we were the day before? Isn't our end goal, or shouldn't our end goal be to love your neighbor as yourself, to treat others with kindness and love? Somebody commented to me on Facebook when they read what I had written about the fact that this whole situation with the person lying on the ground sort of put things in perspective. Did you stop and offer them comfort? Did you stop and offer them support, medical support? And to be completely honest with you, that didn't even pass my memory. Number one, there was a police officer already there, and it was in the middle of a busy intersection. My daughter was in the car next to me, and I was concerned for her. But is that enough? Should I have stopped and asked if they needed any kind of help? I don't know. But I can't second guess myself. I have to think about what I was able to do for my daughter to make sure she was okay. And I will tell you that if I ever were to pass that situation again, something similar to that, in which someone was lying on the ground, I probably would stop. I probably would ask if there's anything that I could do. But then I wonder if I'd be just getting in the way. Questions that we really can't answer, can we? We just have to live one day at a time, take one step at a time. It does put things in perspective. And that's an important word, perspective, because it's what allows us to move from day to day, making changes in our lives and in what we do and who we affect and how we affect those that we affect. Because truth be told, if we don't learn from our mistakes and we don't look at things differently every step of the way, then we may never progress. And ultimately, progression is what enables us to take that step forward. Forward, progression. Kadima, moving forward. Well, that's my podcast for today. I will join you next week, and I hope that we can talk about something else that happened between now and then. And signing off for now. See you next week.